It's raining today, and if you live where I live, you know that's not really all that uncommon for my area. But last week, we had the most beautiful weather. It was, in many ways, the saving grace of our first week in physical isolation. At least we could go for a walk around the block, maybe head down to the park and get a bit of sunshine and fresh air, break up the monotony of being inside in quarantine the whole time. But looking at my weather app, this is what we can expect for about the next week or so. Rain. At the moment, it's a bit disappointing. The kids are kind of restless. I'm kind of restless. And the rain does take our already limited ability to get out and minimize it a bit further. But I have a confession to make. I'm a pluviophile. That means I love rain. Under most circumstances, I'll take the rain over a sunshiny day anytime. Sitting at my desk, hearing the rain come down on the roof of my house, watching it patter against the window while I'm here, listening to it shower down while I'm getting ready for bed. That's all peaceful. It's life-giving to me. I'm usually a little more creative when it rains. Maybe it's because my mind has permission then to wander instead of my feet. We're still sticking around in the Gospel of Matthew today, and Jesus has something to say about rain. He uses rain and sun as an explanation for the kind of love that God has for us. I want to go ahead and read it to you. Matthew chapter 5, in verse 43, it says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbors and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? You therefore must be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." What a challenging passage, and I really mean that. If you've read it before, you've likely read it a dozen times before, and it's easy for us to look at it and feel like it's common sense, but really, it's far from common. Love is not an action reserved for those we like, or for the people who are easy to get along with, or for our close family members. Love is an activity we participate in, a method of living that is supposed to be the guide for all of our relationships. And in the middle of this passage, Jesus talks about rain and sun. God makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends his rain on the just and on the unjust. In our modern way of thinking, especially outside of agricultural circles, I've heard this verse very poorly interpreted as God sends his sun, all the good things, to everyone, but he also sends the rain, all the bad things, on everyone. No. Sun and rain are and always have been equally essential. People, land, crops, everything in all of creation benefits from both the sun and the rain. They're a part of the natural rhythm and cycle of life that God has given to us. Just like everything else needs the sun and the rain, all people need love. Our favorite people and our least favorite people. The good ones and the not so good ones, the next door neighbor and the neighbor on the other side of the world. If God sends all good gifts, his best signs of love to all people, and we are called to be like God, how can any of us decide to be anything less than loving to people around us? So my question to you today is, how will you bring sunshine to those who are a little waterlogged? How will you bring rain to those who are feeling a bit dry? Everyone around us needs balance in their life. Let's be the refreshing rain or sun that God has called us to be by extending his love in a time of need. I love you, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go force my love of rain on my family.
So, your first part of learning